So next hadith we must do. See? Loud. Okay, read Bismillah. Loud.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن الأشعري رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا مات ولد الحكيم قال الله تعالى لملائكته قبضتم ولد عبدي فيقولون نعم فيقول قبضتم ثمرة فؤاده فيقولون نعم فيقول عبدي فيقولون حمدك واسترجع
واسترجع.
فيقول الله
ابنوا. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Beautiful hadith this year. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Narrating the authority on Abi Musa al-Ashari, narrating the authority of Abu Musa al-Ashari, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, Rasulullah said, إذا مات ولد الأبد, when the child of a servant of Allah Ta'ala passes away, whatever reason, whatever causes, illness, accident, whatever, Allah Ta'ala protect us. Right? قال الله تعالى لملائكته, Allah Ta'ala says to his malaika, right? قبضت ولد abdi, that you people, obviously in my instruction, on the instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you took قبضت the child of my servant. They say yes, فيقولون نعم, they say yes ya Allah, we took the soul of your child. فيقولون نعم, فيقول قبضتم ثمرة فؤاده, you snatched away. Allah Ta'ala knows obviously everything, and it happens with the instruction of Allah Ta'ala. But I'm just saying, you took the apple, like how we say, the apple of his eye away, you took the fruit of his eye. قَبَضَتُمْ ثَمَرَةُ فَآدِهِ فَيَقُولُونَ نَعَمْ, they say yes ya Allah. فَيَقُولُ مَاذَا قَالَ عَبْدِي, so what was my servant's response when you took the apple of his eye, right? فَيَقُولُونَ حَمِدَكَ, he praised you ya Allah. He said Alhamdulillah, this is Allah Ta'ala's decision, right? وَاسْتَرْجَعَ, istarja means he said إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Allah Ta'ala says فَيَقُولُ اللَّهُ بْنُوا لِأَبْدِي بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ. Allah Ta'ala said, now because my servant respected or responded in this responsible manner, right? He was pleased with my decision. He was pleased with my decree. أُبْنُوا لِأَبْدِي بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ, build for my servant a special house in Jannat. وَسَمُّوهُ بَيْتَ الْحَمْدِ, and call us Bayt al-Hamd. Rawa Ahmad wa Tirmidhi, Imam Ahmad and Tirmidhi narrates this particular riwayat. So this is a beautiful riwayat. When somebody loses a child, then you go to them and you explain this reward, this hadith, that there's so much reward, there's so much merit, there's so much greatness in accepting the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happily, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So because this person praised Allah Ta'ala, Fahamid Allah, you get a house that will be known as Baytul Hamd. Okay, read the next riwayat.
وعن عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من عز مصابا فله مثل أجره. رواه الترمذي وابن ماجه.
Okay, stop there. The right now authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, the Rasul said, Man azza, you know, when you visit the bereaved and you console the bereaved, it's called ta'ziyat, isn't it? Where's Sheikh Ajusa? Call Sheikh Ajusa for me, please. Call Sheikh Ajusa. Azza yu'azzi. Right? It's ta'ziyat. to console the bereaved. So man azza musaban, that person who consoles the person who has been afflicted with some type of difficulty. Falahu mithlu ajrihi, then for him will be the likeness of his reward. In other words, whatever difficulty that person is experiencing and the reward he will get for that difficulty, the person who consoles him will get the same amount of reward, right? رواه الترمذي وابن ماجه Imam Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah narrate this particular riwayat. وقال الترمذي Imam Tirmidhi هذا حديث غريب. This is a غريب hadith. Inshallah, when we're going to do Stat Tirmidhi Shareef, we'll explain you the different istilahat of Imam Tirmidhi. He had his own istilahat and what it means, right? لا نعرفه مرفوعا. We don't know this hadith marfu. In other words, it hasn't been attributed direct to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. إلا من حديث علي بن عاصم الراوي. Except there's a hadith that is narrated on through the turq, the way of Ali ibn Asim al-Rawi, right? He's one where the words are attributed directly to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we never find Abdullah ibn Mas'ud directly to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? وقال وروى بعض محمد بن سوقة, and some narrators they write the same hadith, but Muhammad ibn Suqa بهذا الإسناد, with this isnad. I told you Azza Yu'azzi comes on a tafeel scale. That's why Azza Yu'azzi at-ta'ziyah too. So ta'ziyah means to encourage somebody to exercise patience, sabr ki talqeen karna, to give comfort to the bereaved. Musaban, asaba yusibu musibun, musiba yusabu musabun, the person upon whom the calamity has come. So what the hadith is saying, when somebody is afflicted with a difficulty, and if you advise that person with sabr, you console him, like these hadith we said, من حمد الله بنى الله له بيتا في الجنة واسم البيت بيت الحمد, and you explain him in a nice, respectful manner that he should exercise patience, etc. And then this person, as a result of your tasalli, Sheikh, will we finish up there? And as a result of that, this person exercises patience, etc., then you will get the same reward of the difficulty that person is experiencing, right? Because we know in Islam, الدال على الخير كفاعله, the person who indicates towards good, you get the same reward of doing the good. الدال على الشر كفاعله, the person that indicates to a person to do something wrong, he helps a person in doing wrong, is instrumental in doing wrong, and he gets the same reward as that, right? That is the next reward.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من عز تكلى كسي بردا في الجنة. رواه الترمذي وقال هذا حديث غريب.
So remember I told you before in previous days, when medicine was not so advanced, etc., many a time women would die in childbirth, women would lose their children, etc. So it was a common occurrence for children to die in the infancy, etc., etc. So وعن أبي برزة, narrating the authority of Abu Barza, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, said, من أزى ثقلا, whoever condoles. ثقلا refer to a person who lost their child, maybe either through death or whatever, or just a child, right? Kusiya burdatan fil Jannah, this person will be given a cloth, a shade in Jannah, right? A beautiful shawl from Jannah. So to show you that obviously, normally the mother is very hard sore when she loses a child, because after carrying the child for so many months, enduring so much difficulty, and then to lose a child either at childbirth, or to lose a child after the child was born, after the mother has become attached to the child. It is indeed a great test. It is indeed a great calamity, more than it is for the father. And sometimes we think it's just an accident, that we were negligent by the pool, and then the child fell in the pool, or it was a car accident, it was a drowning accident, but it seems like an accident, but it is all the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala protect us from this test, right? So the mother feels very, very hard. So it's very, very difficult for the mother, because after حملت فحملت على وهن, carry the child upon difficulty, etc., etc. So it's an extremely difficult time for her. Then to offer solace, to offer peace, and say, look, don't be sad. This child hasn't died in vain. This child will be your means of Jannat. This child will take you to Jannat, and Allah Ta'ala will reward you for the difficulty you're experiencing. Every time you say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, you recite it, Allah Ta'ala will give you the same reward. You say, Allahumma ajurni fi musibati wa khuluf li khayran minha. Allah Ta'ala reward me in this difficulty and give me better. You will be handsomely rewarded. So like this, you encourage that person, like this hadith I told you, where Allah says, قَبَضْتُ صَفِيَّةَ قَلْبِ عَبْدِي, you've taken away the apple of the eye, right? Then inshallah you will get this great reward, because so this is under the keeping of the normal principle, that when you help a person that's in distress, you assist him. So helping, it doesn't only mean financial helping. Helping doesn't only mean financial helping. You can also help a person emotionally. You can help a person psychologically. You can help a person mentally. You can give them himmat, etc. That is why when you go to a sick person, you say, La ba'sa tahurun. Don't worry, Allah Ta'ala will cure you. So you help a person that is in emotional distress. You help a person that is in mental distress. You help a person that is in psychological distress. Then there's a great deal of reward for that. I think the saqla refer to a person who lost a child, either through death or physically the child is lost. So, although the hadith say that this person will be given a beautiful shawl of Jannat, it is indirect glad tiding. It's an indirect glad tiding that this person will go to Jannat, because how can you wear a, 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 a how can you wear a chadar from Jannat if you're not going to enter Jannat? You understand what I'm saying? So even though it's just saying that you're going to be granted a cloth from Jannat, it is in fact saying that this person will enter Jannat, inshallah. Right? Are you with me? Okay, read the next riwayah. جعفر قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن آل جعفر طعاما فقد أتاهم ما يشغلهم فهو الترمذي أبو داود وابن ماجه. Right. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن عبد الله بن جعفر نريتنا أثارته فعبد الله بن جعفر قال لما جاء النعي جعفر, with the news of the demise of Ja'far came, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, اصنعوا لآل جعفر طعاما, make some food for the family of Ja'far. فقد أتاهم ما يشغلهم, because verily it has come to them. Actually, ما يشغلهم is the file. What is preoccupying them, right? أتاهم has come to them. رواه الترمذي وابو داود وابن ماجه. Imam Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, Abu Majah narrate this particular riwayat. So what does it say? Normally, when you lose a close family member, you are so grief-stricken, you are struck with grief, etc., that you don't, the ladies of the house don't look to do anything, because when you are overtaken with grief, you lose interest in everything. So now, um, you so it is sunnah now at this point in time to send enough food for the family. It is sunnah to what? Because here you can see that isna'u li Dawuda ta'aman li'annahu qad atahum ma yashghuluhum is a file. Something that is occupying them has come. So they normally when you are overtaken with grief, then you lose less to do anything. So from this hadith you learn also when there is a mate, when there is a passing on, then for the neighbors around there, etc., it is mustahab to send food. Some ulama have added some extra conditions that you must send enough food for the household. It mustn't become like a big feast. It mustn't become like a big party. Because maybe sometimes some people are traveling from far. There's a different, and the reason why I'm saying this is because some people they consider it a special ibadah to feed. They feel like when somebody passes away, you must feed, etc., etc. That per se is not an ibadah. Yeah, are you with me? That like you must feed everybody, and that is not an ibadat. Yes, just to give food to the bereaved on account of them being overcome with grief, etc., and they are not able to make any food, that is fine. And maybe sometimes, maybe some visitors are coming from out of town, etc., etc., and to feed them, that is fine. And here also they say, interesting, that for 3 days you should send food because ta'ziyat is 3 days. So, like I told you, the problem is that where you make it like a custom. No, just look at me 1 second. Like, just try to understand this properly. One is, as I told you, somebody passed away, so the household must eat. Obviously, they're not going to eat; they're going to also die, right? Right? And some visitors come, so you feed them. That we're not speaking about that. That's fine. But where some cultures where they consider it like part of the funeral is that you must feed. That's part. Like if you don't feed people, if you don't give food, you don't call the neighbors, you don't call everybody to come and eat, etc. There's something wrong. You haven't fulfilled the right of the deceased, etc., etc. That is what is problematic, right? So obviously, maybe there are some other people by the house also. They are busy helping with the takfeen and the tajheez to feed them. But what we're saying is here, we have a feast per se that you consider to be part of the what you call it what? You consider to be part of the funeral procession. That is the bidat one. That's why ulama say, Ta'amul mayti yumitul qalba. That the food of the deceased, it kills the heart. Ta'amul mayti yumitul qalba. So I hope you understand the difference. So you can't say now, if there's visitors by the house, right? Come, get out, get out. You can't feed now. It's haram. You mustn't feed people. Get out, go home. We're not going to feed you. Go, 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 go. It's a bidat. It's haram. Not referring to that. So maybe somebody came to make ta'ziyat and you sitting down to eat. Say, come join us some meals, no problem. That is not problematic. The problematic is where you consider to be part of the custom of the maid, and then you have a special feast and you call people, and especially in the Ayam Jahiliyyah, when then you have a morning session, Mournin. You understand what I'm saying? The Mufti Sahib is saying the place in Pakistan called Suba and Sarhad, etc., where they have a special feast. And then if you don't invite the people around to come and eat, and somebody it's considered a taboo. Look at this person. they lost somebody in the family, they never invite anybody, etc., etc. And then obviously sometimes if there is, look here, if there is another masala that you must keep in mind, that if there is a na-baligh is, listen nicely to me, if there's na-baligh is of the deceased, then you can't use their property without their permission. If it's a father passed away, right, and you got na-baligh children, right, so you can't take the money from the estate and feed people and give it to other people because those na-baligh children got a right in that. You understand what I'm saying? But there's an easier way to overcome that. If you just work out that this child maybe got like a one-fifth share, whatever, right? So we must just replace that into the estate. And so I'm saying, or you buy it from the estate. Somebody takes from his own money, maybe like a bigger sublum. They got their own money, and they say, look here, we used 1,000 rands worth of groceries from the house, and we fed the people. Because remember, in Islam, a small child, even if they give you permission to use it, you can't use it. That's why you can't take gifts from a small children. You know that. When a Dalith child come and give you a sweetie or something, you can't take it. You know that, right? Because Shariat protects the wealth of a Nabaligh. Shariat protects the wealth. So you can't. If there's a Nabaligh A, you can't use it because as I said, even if a Nabaligh A gives you permission, even if a Nabaligh A gives you permission, his permission is not considered. So I told you, if a small child comes and says, "Yeah, take this pen from me or take this phone from me," you can't accept it because Shariat says that this child's akal is not tam. What Shariat says? So Shariat protect the interests of that child. That's what I'm saying. But a way to overcome that is, especially like I told you, uh, if the anabali is, in simple way, what you do is you buy it from the estate. So you know there's some visitors coming from far, and everything in the house belongs to the husband, passed away, right? So what you do is you say, okay, we're using so much, so we're going to put this back in the same. That's why it's also best that, look at me 1 second, that the husband say, always, wife, whatever's here is yours. Like everything in the house is yours. So it makes the things easy. That's what I'm saying. That all the furniture is yours, all the food in the house is yours, I give it to you, etc. Anyway, so they're saying, ta'amul mayti yumitul qalba. Okay, so that is only the problem when there is not baligh children, but if children are baligh, then there's no problem, right? Because their commission is counted, right? Okay, just so let's do another one hadith. So inshallah, we can wrap it up.
عن المغيرة بن شعبة رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من نيح عليه فإنه يعذب بما نيح عليه يوم القيامة متفق عليه.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, narrating the authority of Mughirah ibn Shu'bah, he said, I heard Rasulullah saying, who it is mourned upon him, right? Then he will be punished because of what is mourned upon him on the day of Qiyamah. I told you again, I told you, it's not so simple like people say, just take the Sahih hadith and follow it. If you look at this hadith here, whoever is mourned upon him, he will be punished because of that. What about the tabi'i grief a person experienced? I mean, even Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what he said, that beautiful words that is etched in gold, what he said at the time, Al-aynu tadma' wal-qalbu yahzan ولا نقول إلا ما ولا نقول إلا ما يرضى ربنا, that the eyes tears, the heart feels sad. Yeah, إن العين تدمع والقلب يحزن ولا نقول إلا ما ولا نقول إلا ما يرضى ربنا وإنا لبفراقك يا إبراهيم لمحزونون. So if you just look at the hadith on face value, it will seem that even to feel natural tabai grief, then the deceased will be punished. But we know it's not like that. We know this referred to, you can take it in two ways. One is you object to the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I only got one son. That man got 7 sons. Why Allah ta'ala to take my son away? Right? You object to the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or I tell you, this is where the deceased, he knows his family is going to put up a big performance. They're going to hire mourners. and etc., etc., etc. You're going to hire the wailing woman, Wail, that's Nahia, and he doesn't say, look here, don't do this. Don't do this. It's not permissible in Islam. But obviously, there is place for natural tabai grief because that's how Allah Ta'ala created people. And then also, when you cry, you let out a tear, you feel better after that. That the Nabi said, Hada rahmatun, right? What's the time to start here now? Okay, let's just do one more sample. So,
عبد الرحمن أنها قالت سمعت عائشة وذكر لها أن عبد الله بن عمر يقول إن الميت لا يعذب ببكاء الحي عليه يقول يغفر الله لأبي عبد الرحمن أما إنه لم يكذب ولكنه نسي أو أخطأ إنما مر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على يهودية يبكي عليها فقال إنهم ليبكون عليها وإنها لتعذب.
Okay, so thus we discussed already. Remember, as Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala, there's three things I want you to keep in mind. And you understand this hadith easy. In fact, the next hadith also speaks about the same thing in detail. Three things. Firstly, once you keep those three things in mind, this hadith is easy for you to understand. We say that wailing, the natural tab'i wailing for the deceased, that is not blameworthy, right? But when you go beyond the bounds, screaming, wailing, man laysa minna man halaqa wa shaqqa wa kharaqa, that one you pull out your hair, you tear your pockets and that, right? So that is the one which is mazmoom, right? So as Ibn Umar used to say that the deceased will be punished because of this haram wailing, right? Not the one, right? He used to say this. So Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala, she didn't agree with him. She said, no, 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 no. This is also a valid explanation, but she said, look here, that the statement that Nabi Sallallahu made was in relation to a particular Jewess, that the people, she passed away, and the people were crying for such a good person, and this and that. So Nabi Sallallahu said, you are crying for this Jewess, but you don't know she's being punished in the graves. She is being punished. And the more you're praising her, the angel are saying, oh, well, you're really such a good woman. Like how, for example, a simple example to understand is, take for instance, you got the award for being the top student in the class, right? So you got the award, most bright student. So tomorrow I come and ask you, and you mix up the file and maful. I say, oh, are you really the brightest student in the class? You don't even know what the file and maful, but you got the award for being the hardest working, the brightest person. Are you really? Are you sure that you're the brightest student in the class? So same thing. This is what Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa, she's saying. She said that no, that this statement which Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made was, Innahu la yu'adhabu bi, it relates to only the Jewish. It relates to that Jewish. Although we don't, partially we agree with her, and partially we don't agree with her. This part we agree with her. Because we put all the hadith together. We agree with her because she uses the proof, وَلَا تَزِرْ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. That part we agree with her, that one person can't carry the burden of another person. That part we agree with her. That's why we say that if the deceased had no doing in the mauling and the wailing, he will not be punished. But we don't agree with her that it only refers to that incident. Here we differ with her. We said besides this one incident where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned this for the Jews, he mentioned it for on many other occasions. So it's not only for the Jews, it is general. So we agree with her in one part and we disagree with her in one part. We agree with her, but this part we agree with her, that look here, a mayit, when he never bequests and he never asks and he even know his family is going to mourn and wail in an un-Islamic way for him, then he is not responsible. That we agree with her. But then also we don't agree with her that this only refers to the Jewish, which is general. Anybody who bequested it, look, when I die, I want you to employ, like how, you say when you die, say, I want you to call Vinci and Vinci. No, Vinci and Vinci is a famous undertakers. You have heard about him. They have the big limousines and all that stuff. You must call Vinci and Vinci. They must get me a big limousine. And then I want 10 ladies must stand and cry for me. And they must, because that was a point of fakhr, right? So we agree with, in fact, the next riwayah is going to speak about something similar. That we'll do that tomorrow, inshallah. So now if you look at it, she's saying that as Ibn Umar didn't lie when he said that he just misunderstood. See, now look at the hadith. وعن Amr ibn Abi Abdurrahman, narrating authority of Amr ibn Rahman, أنها قالت, he say, I had سمعت Aisha, right? وذكر لها, while it was mentioned to her, as Aisha responding when it was mentioned to her, that أن Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar, يقول, used to say, إن الميت لا يعذب ببكاء الحي, that the deceased is punished with the crying of the living, right? عليه يقول, so as Aisha saying, يغفر الله لأبي عبد الرحمن, that Allah Ta'ala give Ibn Umar, أما إنه لم يكذب, he didn't intentionally speak a lie, but he misunderstood, right? ولكنه نسي أو أخطأ, he forgot or he made a mistake. That this is not a general qaida. إنما مر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على يهودية, that Nabi Sallallahu passed by the grave of a Jewess, يبكى عليها, it was being cried for her, فقال إنهم, so Nabi Sallallahu says, إنهم لا يبكون عليها, they are crying for her, وإنها لا تؤذب في قبرها, while she is being punished because of her disbelief. So I hope that clarifies, inshallah. We stop there. Tomorrow we'll do this. What period you put us down? Muslim Shareef.